What's up? My name is Jack Kays. Right now I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations with the new single, Middle of the End. I want to dive in and talk about the creative process of this track, just because if I'm correct, this is the first time that you were able to collaborate with Drew Folk. Talk to me a little bit about how that collaboration first started between the two of you, and what do you feel that process was like during the writing and the production of it?
Yeah, for sure. I met Drew maybe 8 months ago, something like that. And we got on a Zoom call. He had reached out to my manager. And it was just when everything was first happening. We were trying to just get some producers to work with, trying to find some people to kind of be on the team. And we just really connected on the Zoom call. We had a lot in common, and we started texting and just kind of built a relationship. And I live in DC, and Drew actually flew from LA to DC after like a month of knowing me. And it was before I signed or anything. I had no money, and he put money down for an Airbnb and really invested in me. And we made like 6 amazing songs that weekend. We were like 4 days. And Middle of the End was the first song we made. And I had the hook written, and I had been playing with the chord progression for months and just trying to figure out what to do with it. And it was a match made in heaven, because me and Drew just like, it was me, Drew, and my producer, DJ Shanks from Cincinnati, all in the room together. So it was just like, it's a really great energy, super creative vibe. It was awesome. I loved it. And it was just like, it's one of my best memories.
It must be amazing to have that opportunity where like you haven't fully established yourself as an artist, but you have this like incredible producer who's been big both in the rock world as well as the hip hop world, that like wants to physically be there with you to kind of create your music and kind of help you get started with your create or with your artist development.
Yeah, he was super enthusiastic.
That's amazing, because I feel like there's a lot of producers today, like once they get big, they get so busy that like they don't have time to be able to do what Drew kind of did. So during this process of collaborating with Drew,
something that he told me was like, he was like, music started as like something that was just all about fun for me.
Yeah.
And he was like, I would just want to make sure that I maintain that. And it really shows when you work with him, because it's just such a great time. And like, he really, I don't think the person that he was is lost upon him now at all.
That's amazing. That's hard. That's hard, because once you get busy again, it's like you lose track of yourself. So that's really cool. So like, as you jumped in and worked on these tracks with him, how do you feel or what did you feel you learned from him? Just because again, you're still a new artist and you're learning from this like great producer. So what did you ultimately learn during those sessions with him?
He gave me a couple new perspectives on songwriting. I'm like, my favorite thing to do in the world beyond play instruments is to songwrite. And I really try to hone in on that craft. And I think it's like this when you work with any great songwriter, because Drew's an amazing songwriter as well as a producer. He gave me a lot of really great perspectives, just like different ways to look at words, different ways to look at scales. Like one of the first ideas that he gave me, I was trying to come up with the verse, and I didn't know where to start, and I kept singing the same note, and he was like, why don't you try to start on a different note? And as soon as he did that, like the verse started coming to me, and I was like, damn, like I was just locked in, you know what I mean, to this one idea, and I was missing all these other ideas while I was focused on that. So working with him made me learn that I should keep my mind very open when I'm songwriting, and kind of let it come from anywhere.
As far as like your songwriting goes, like you've been very transparent with your audience and ultimately very vulnerable with your life. Having this opportunity to work or collaborate with a brand new person at the time that was Drew Folk, how were you able to feel comfortable both in the writing process, since he helped you with the co-writing, and then also in the production process when you're opening up about these emotions or feelings or times that you personally went through?
Well, up until I worked with Drew, I was somebody who recorded alone, or I recorded with my producer from Cincinnati. I said his name earlier. It's DJ Shanks. He's like one of my best friends, and like I just feel really comfortable in the room with him. So I think it was a combination of knowing Drew beforehand. We kind of already had a building a relationship, and also having a producer that I feel comfortable around there. But at the same time, it was a really anxiety inducing process for me, and I actually I panicked. Like I went upstairs. The studio was set up in the basement of the Airbnb, and I like went upstairs and I had like a little panic moment because I was like, I don't know if I can record in front of a new person. And like even now, I prefer to record completely alone. I really like to maintain that feeling and like maintain that energy.
And as you transition from Mixed Emotions to now this new single, how much of an evolution do you feel you personally have when it comes to being able to record these tracks?
I think it's not so much in the recording process, it's more in the writing process, because I used to really just be so not careless, but more like spontaneous with the way that I wrote songs. I used to not think about it as much. And while that still like makes for a great story, sometimes it doesn't make as much sense. And I think some of the themes and some of the storytelling in my last album, because I really was trying to tell a story, is a little bit more vague compared to the songwriting that I'm transitioning into now. It's a lot more contextualized. It's a lot more like there's a lot more thought behind it, a lot more intention. And I want to continue going in that direction.
Would you say that at the same time you're even more vulnerable than you were before as well?
100%. Being able to and it's also it's a side effect of of being able to do music full time, because I'm thinking about it constantly. I'm always working on it now. I'm never not thinking about it. It's all consuming. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but it's definitely making me more vulnerable, thinking out my work more, thinking about the songwriting more, just helps me like put the feelings into better words.
How important is your sound, especially your blend of, you get this hip hop and you get this alternative kind of blend in your music. How important is that to the lyrics that you've been working on recently?
I really think I think different genres deserve different lyrics, and I think like sometimes when I write lyrics, it sounds better over this type of song than it does over this type of song. So I think as far as the sound goes, I really try to not let the idea that I should stick to a genre like keep me from songwriting. I want to write whatever I feel, and sometimes I'm feeling like punk, and sometimes I'm feeling like sad blues, and sometimes I'm feeling like hip hop, or sometimes I want to rap. So it changes a lot.
As far as doing that, how do you feel you're able to keep the projects or whatever it is that you're writing, you're able to keep it cohesive to your sound, your style, even if you're changing up the kind of genre that it is?
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends. Like in Mixed Emotions, it flows. So the first song is one of the most heavily produced songs on the album, and the last song is the least produced song on the album. So each song, an element gets taken away, and it actually fades into that genre. If you listen to track 1 to track 8, it kind of like breaks down throughout that. So I think it depends, but I think the most important part is that if I'm honest and it's a sound that was true to me when I made the song, it'll usually fit into the story.
With this new material that you're working on, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've been facing?
Man, handling the business. It's a lot different making and releasing music, not that it's any harder. It's just people when there's traction, people take you a lot more seriously, and you have to do things differently. And I think that's been the biggest challenge. the songs have been flowing. My writing process have been, I think I've been writing more than I have in my entire life these past couple of months. And then like, I feel so creative, and the ideas for music videos and the ideas for albums, I'm not losing those in any way. It's more just like, it's more just running the business can be stressful and can be hard.
The fact that you're writing more, how do you keep yourself from just releasing these tracks just, you know, because you want them to go out, instead of like letting the new single, for example, be able to live for a moment before you start
It's
to release
so hard, dude.
it?
It's so hard. And like, even like, so before I dropped How Does It Feel, I used to play unreleased music on my live streams all the time, and people would record them and put them on YouTube. Um, and How Does It Feel, like most of my fan base already knew the whole song before it came out, because there was a leak on YouTube that had like almost 50,000 views by the time the song had came out. And it's like, it's so hard to hold off on showing off these new songs, or putting out leaks on my Instagram or whatever I want to do. Like, um, but at the same time, I really, really want to keep the story fresh. I have a lot of music right now. Like, we have the entire second album finished. I think I have every song that I need for that. I feel very confident. Um, and I'm starting to think about themes that I want in my third project, and so on. And I'm thinking it out really far. And I think like, I lost track. I'm thinking about it so much.
That
It's
must be a
hard,
challenge.
dude. It's hard. It's hard not to release music. It sucks. It
But that
sucks.
must
I
be a
want to release
challenge.
it all. I used to just put out music like when I had 500 followers and nobody was paying attention. I used to put out music every month or so, you know. I would put out like 4 or 5 songs. So it's a lot different now, and it's hard because like, it's my form of expression, and just having it in my possession doesn't fully like soothe that, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. The challenge there is that the fact that you're writing so much material and already kind of thinking of like this project and the next project, I feel like it's kind of scary, because at this point, since you're prepping yourself ahead of time, it's like, I don't even know how to word it. It's like you want to make more of a timeless kind of song. So whether you released it today or you released it in 4 years, it would still make sense.
Exactly, man. That's a really, I love that you said that, actually. I think, and I also really want to write about themes that won't fade away. You know what I mean? I want to write about things that people will be able to relate to forever. Um, yeah, I completely agree with you.
Now, to kind of close us off, like now that you have this single out, middle of the end, what do you feel was the biggest challenge of this track? And also, how do you feel Drew Folk challenged you in the recording process? Since we already know he challenged you in the writing process.
Yeah, man. So the recording process, we wrote the song, and I went upstairs and I nearly threw up because I was so anxious, and I was up there for so long. I have terrible anxiety. Like, it's one of my worst, it's one of the worst things that I have to deal with, I would say. Like, my anxiety can really get in the way of things, and this is a really good example. I was upstairs for almost 45 minutes, like trying to calm myself down. And it even got to a point where my guy DJ Shanks had to text me, and he was like, "Dude, like, where are you? Like, why are you, like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll come down." And I like came down, and I was a wreck, and I was like, "I don't know, like I don't feel good, like da 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 da." And Drew was like, "Come on, just like put it into the song. Like, it's okay. Like, you're feeling these emotions right now." He was like, "Put that into recording." Um, and I just ended up screaming the whole song and like just wailing it on the guitar. And that's why the song has that big, like, massive sound, because I was like, that was a very, very, like, it was high strung, you know? He pushed me in a lot of ways that day.
Damn. And I can't imagine like what those emotions are like in the studio, just because I would think that, as you know, if I was in your shoes and I was going through that anxiety, and trying to record it, I would feel like I'm just, you know, cornered on a wall. Like there's no way out. Like
Man, I was like, and it's hard to get past it when you're in that deep. Like I was so deep in my anxiety, I couldn't really like, it's hard to take a step back and like realize that you can use that like for the art. You know what I mean? Um, and I always say that music is my form of therapy, like music is my form of expression. And Drew that day made me take a step back from what I was going through and realize that I can use this anxiety and use the music as a form of therapy for it. And like, and after I recorded the song, I felt way better. And then we recorded 5, 6 more songs that week. And like, you know what I mean? It's really,
Man,
really cool.
he
I
really,
actually have a disposable camera from that weekend that I haven't like gotten the film done for yet. I have the date written on it and shit. So in like 5 years, I'm gonna go get the film developed. I'll have like pictures from the weekend that because we made a lot of really, really great songs. Like I really think some of the songs that we made that weekend will be some of my biggest songs ever.
yeah,
And I think like I think that was an incredible, like monumental weekend in my life.
that's exciting, dude. That's definitely exciting, and I'm excited to be able to get to know you and your music early on, just because I agree with you. I feel like whatever you release next, just because I'm noticing the comments on middle of the end and the comments on your previous stuff, like I'm noticing this traction starting to build up, and these fans at the same time thanking you for helping them with struggles
Mhm.
that they're also going through. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds for Jack Hayes, and very excited for your new music, man.
Thank you, man. I'm just really excited to keep building this community. I think it's like the person that I was 2 years ago could have never thought that I would be able to like build this pot or have this positive impact. And I'm like, I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. Like I really am. I'm like it could bring me to tears right now how happy I am about it, but it's amazing.
That's so cool. I mean, you're working hard for this, and like you're in the place that you need to be in. So just keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're at the same time, while you're being therapeutic for yourself, you're being therapeutic for us. So thank you for doing
Thank you,
that.
man. Thank you.